start the PPT. Good afternoon and very warm welcome to all my guests. In fact, good to see you all back here again. Commander Vijay, your smile is always very contagious and charming. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, Mr. Commander Vijay.
Thank you.
Vijay Tandali ji, Hare Krishna. And so is Anuradha ji, Vibhas ji, Deepak ji. Good afternoon and welcome to the session.
Jai Shri Krishna Prabhuji, very nice to see you.
Same here, same here.
And thank you for this learning conclave, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks to you all for supporting us. And soon we are celebrating our 100th webinar. Going forward, okay, so let us begin our proceedings for the day. And we have a wonderful session coming up today. So Learning Conclave, we are bringing you this team, the team which is bringing you this Learning Conclave is, this is Vishnu, who's sales expert, the Madhav Roy, the HR consultant, and Mudita, the person who looks after the entire backend operations, and me, your host for the day. Now, as you know that we are bringing it 2 days a week, which is Leaders Insight, which is today, the Turning Tuesday, and the Knowledge Fiesta comes up on Saturdays. Soon, as I said, we are celebrating our 100th webinar, and thanks to all of you for making it possible. When we started that journey, by the way, very frankly, we were not sure how far we will go. We did not know that this is what we will be doing also. It is the encouragement, support, and guidance from you all which has taken us this far. So thank you so very much to all the members of Learning Conclave to bring us all here. Now, going forward, going for today's session, this is Leaders Insight as we call it. And today, we have a very young and dynamic leader from the HR domain. She has worked with companies like India Mart and others, and we will just talk about that in a while. Let me also thank our sponsors, which is RS for You, Khadiji, and Electronics for You. And these are the supporters who are really, really helping us and promoting us and helping us to sustain. So thank you, Khadiji. Thank you, Electronics for You, and thank you, RS for You. So this is the leader I was just referring to, the Nirja Mehta, the seasoned HR leader, the very young and dynamic HR leader, having worked with companies like India Mart and Barcos, handling HR operations, talent acquisitions, talent development kind of roles. And now she is full-time consultant, helping a lot of individuals to grow. So ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our speaker for the day, Nirja Mehta. Nirja, over to you.
Thanks, Ashutosh, for such a lovely introduction. And I would like to congratulate you guys for such an amazing job that you people are doing. Thank you to all of you once again.
Thank you.
So what we have done this time different is that, rather than a moderator asking questions to me and then I keep on answering, what different that we have done is that we've received a lot of questions from you all, from our audiences. So what we've done, we've divided those questions into 4 various buckets to address your queries, and we'll have a discussion around those topics to understand better, about the things, the growing trends that are happening in HR. So let me talk about the points that we'll be discussing today. So first bucket that we'll be looking at would be global trends in HR. Second would be decoding employer branding. And third would be around evaluation of talent acquisition in last decade. Fourth point would be around management dashboards of talent acquisition. So let me start our discussion with our first point, that is trend important for future of recruiting and HR. So if we look at the trends that are going around hiring and talent acquisition, there are various reports available. I picked up LinkedIn Global Talent Trends 2020 report, wherein a lot of HR professionals were surveyed and asked about a very important question of future of recruiting and HR. So on the basis of the survey, it was came out that for them, employee experience figured out to be 94% on the list. And second important point that all of them agreed on was people analytics, which was about 85%. And third was internal recruiting. 82% of the respondents said that this is also a very important point. And fourth, but not the least, very important and very contemporary for today's time is a multi-generational workforce. That's about 74% of respondents said that it's a very important point. If we look at the trends, all of these trends are focused around one theme, that is empathy, putting human experience at the center of HR and recruiting. If we look at what was a traditional way of thinking earlier, the CEOs and the top management used to think more about increasing the shareholder value. But there was a survey that was conducted in late 2019, where nearly 200 CEOs signed a statement that was around the purpose of the corporation, where all of them agreed that investing on employees comes along with increasing the shareholder value. So now both the things are equally important. It is not just increasing the shareholder value, but it is also about investing in our employees. So there's one famous, story around it. I'm sure most of you must have heard. This is about a conversation that happened between a CEO and a CFO of a very prominent organization, where the CFO, looking at the cost, he's always thinking about the finances of the company. He went to the CEO and he asked that, why are we spending so much on our employees when they don't stick to us for a longer time? Don't you think it's just, increasing the cost of the company? Can you guess what the CEO replied? The CEO replied that it is better to have trained employees in the organization than having untrained employees sticking with the company for the longer duration. So this itself is a self-explanatory statement wherein this shows that it is very important for organization to invest and invest in their employees, even if they sometimes fail to retain them. Because whatever period that they would be working for the organization, they'll be contributing towards the success of the organization. And one more important thing, even when the employee leaves, he still remains the brand ambassador of the company. So it's not just, the time that an employee is working with the company, it's also after he leaves the organization. So our first point that was discussed in the survey was employee experience. About 77% of companies focus said that, employee experience increase their employee retention. Employee experience is centric around 4 P's. First P is people. People, the who, with whom we are working, with whom we are dealing as the employee of the company. So that, involves your interaction with the manager, interaction with your subordinate, interaction with your peer. It could be your interaction with your supplier and your customer. Second P comes is place, the where. So when we talk about where, it's about the workplace environment where an employee is sitting and doing his job. It's also about the kind of flexibility that the organization is offering to the employee, the kind of work balance that an employee is getting from the organization. Third P is product, the what. So product, you know, that the company is selling. So it's about the kind of work that the employee is doing. It's about the skill matching with the kind of work that the employee is doing. So it shouldn't be that an HR professional is put into a sales role, whereas his skill set is, you know, is involved in doing HR work. So that balance should be maintained in an organization. Fourth, the most important is process. Process could be around, a small process of, reimbursing your claims. Could be, about the rules, the way norms at an organization works. And we've also seen that employee experience roles are increasing rapidly. There is an increase of 2.4%, 2.4 times in since 2014. So these roles are growing over a period of time, and companies are investing more in such kind of a professional who can improve the employee experience in the company. Now, next question that comes into my mind is why company invest in employee experience? Why do you think they invest so much? They must be gaining something. That's why they're, investing so much. So what they gain is they gain increase in employee retention. People don't leave organization where employee experience is high. They stick to the organization. There is an increase in employee productivity. Your productivity is, directly related with your employee experience. Third is they meet the expectation of the generation that we are dealing with. There are millennials that we're talking about, and there are Generation Z that we're talking about. We'll be discussing them, in detail in our further discussion. Fourth is attracting the candidates. So if an employer provides good employee experience, there'll be good candidates who will be joining the organization. They will be wanting to work with such kind of an organization. Second trend that we discussed was about people analytics. Don't you think that it's like a tedious job to do? But it's not. Let me come to the point. We've seen that 242%, there has been a 242% increase in HR professionals who are managing the data analysis for over 5 years. And what they are measuring out of it is that they are looking at they provide the data for measuring the employee performance. They work towards the data that can be used for strategic workforce planning, identifying the skill gaps that are there in the organization, evaluating the various recruitment channel. So how an organization can evaluate which channel is effective for which particular skill. Because generally an organization use various sources to fill a position. So these kind of analytical can give the company an idea of to use which channel is effective for what kind of a hiring. So this will save time and cost. And it also helps in assessing the talent pool, supply and demand, because there are a lot of analyticals, there are a lot of data that is available with the company before the position comes in, and they know how much time does it take for them to fill a particular skill set. So this really helps the organization in better planning, reducing the biasness that is there in hiring and promotion processes. Also in competitive intelligence, predicting a candidate's success, and last but not the least, organizational network analysis. Like I said in the beginning of this topic, that this is a very tedious job to do, but it isn't. So there's just 5 steps that needs to be kept in mind for doing a better HR analysis. So we'll discuss these important points. First is collecting the data. So when I say collecting the data should be organized in an organized way. It should be collected in an organized way so that it can be used whenever needed. Second is maintaining. So data should be clean, accurate, and should provide people data. Third is analysis. So data is useless unless and until we analyze the data. So analyzing and looking into the meaningful insight that it provides. Third, acting on insight to solve problems. Fourth, capitalizing, that is predicting the insight for a competitive advantage. So let me give you an example around it. What used to happen earlier is that whenever there used to be a training program, the manager used to do one thing, that he used to send the employee who is free at that time for that program, for that workshop. He was not bothered whether that person needs that skill for his job, whether he lacks those skills or not. He would just nominate the person who's idle at that point of time. But because of analytics, it is, it has become really easy for the HR department to come up with the names of people who would need a particular skill set training. For example, a salesperson would need a negotiation training, but a manufacturing person would definitely not need such kind of a training. So this helps in planning the entire competency mapping, and also improving the skills of the employees in the organization. The third point was around internal recruiting. It is seen that the organization felt that 41% of employees stays longer if we provide an internal recruiting options to them, rather than if we look at the companies who don't provide internal recruiting options. Why is it important? Because here we are not overlooking the promising talent that is available within the organization. So that's one thing. There are a lot of talented people in the organization who are there, and they just need a platform for showcasing their talent. What organization doing these days is that they're learning a lot of leadership programs, success planning program, wherein what happens, even the a leadership position is not vacant, but still they train the person who's successor of this leader. So they're investing so much in preparing him for the next challenging role. That is the role of a leadership. One thing which is very important in this is that the recruiter needs to create a formal internal hiring program, which is very important. And they also need to work with the learning and development team. So there is a right fitment between both the departments. You know the need of the skill that is coming up, and the L&D can help in developing the available talent into those skill sets. Why internal recruiting matters? It matters because it improves employee retention. Second, it accelerates new hire productivity. What happens, when a new person comes in the organization? He is new to the environment. He is new to the processes and policies. He needs a lot of time in getting inducted himself in the company, and also companies spend a lot of time in just giving the basic induction training to them, because I know I look at the figures that are available, the amount of HR departments spend on an induction program. We also did so. We ran various programs around it, so it's a cost for an organization to incur, which kind of is not there if we promote the existing staff to the next level. Third is accelerating hiring processes. What happens, the hiring team always face the challenge of getting people in the shorter period of time. That's the biggest challenge, which can be eradicated if we look at the internal pool available, and if they're trained for the next level of job. Fourth point was around multi-generational workforce, which I spoken about in the earlier, that we're going to discuss about this point. We see that 56% of companies already adopted themselves to the policies that appeal to multi-generational workforce. So they have come up with a policy that is suitable for multi-generation that are available in the organization. the reasons why a company have to do so, because we're seeing that these days the retirement age is not fixed. Earlier, we used to have 60 as the rate of retirement, but now, I see a lot of leaders not getting retired even, when they're at 70. So there's this example of Masa, of SoftBank founder, who delayed his retirement by 10 years. Nikesh Arora was supposed to be his successor when he was hired, but then Masa decided that he still is young and still has a lot to contribute. So he decided to, postpone his retirement and continue working. So he's, almost like 70 years plus still working. So there's this diverse age diversity that we see in the organization these days. So what company has to do is they have to bridge the gap of age diversity and look at the ways and the condition that they can provide, so that there is a better collaboration between these multi-generation, and there is a better flow of knowledge exchange. When I said multi-generational workforce, you guys must be thinking, what is this multi-generational workforce? Which all age groups comes under what kind of a generation working for the organization? So let me just explain you where everybody fits in the generation workforce when we talk about that. So there are a baby bloomer. They range between 55 to 73, and they consist about 15% of workforce. Next is Generation X. Their age is about 39 to 54 years, and they're about 33% of such workforce. Third one is millennial, that we talk so much these days. They are somewhere around 23 years to 38 years, and they're about 40%. They consist about 40% of the workforce in. And then Generation X, and they range between somewhere around 7 years to 22, and they are about 10% of the workforce. So when there is this too many age gaps and different generation available working together, so there'll be chances of having a lot of conflicts. I'm sure you guys will agree on this, because even at home we have conflict when there is generation gap. So this is, we're talking about a company, an organization, where everybody comes from a different background, different mindset. So you can understand there'll be a lot of conflicts. So there was a survey that was conducted around it to understand the top intergenerational conflicts that are there in the organization. So what was seen that management style came up to about 69% of the reason for the conflict. Second was work-life balance expectation, because all these generation have different kind of living and different kind of mindset. So their expectation of work-life balance was completely different. Third came out to be the communication style, which was of 63%, because generation which we call baby boomer would want to go a formal way of communication. Probably then the generation Z, who would just go for an informal way of texting, WhatsApping, and different methods of communication, and their way of communication style is also different. When we look at why these generation leave jobs, so when we talk about millennial, the reason why they leave job is better compensation. They look for a better compensation and benefit. Second is more advancement in their career. Third is the more challenge that they look for. But whereas when we look at the Generation X, they look for them, more challenge comes out to be number one thing, and better compensation is second, and more advancement is the third point. Whereas if we are discussing about baby bloomer, for them benefit and compensation doesn't figure out. For them, more challenge is number one, better fit of skills and interests is number two, and more impact comes out to be number three. Now we'll move on to our next topic, that is decoding employer branding. Employer branding is very important for every organization these days. So when we see employer branding, the objective behind employer branding is to attract and retain the best talent and customers. If you look at the need for employer branding, there are a lot of reports around it. And if we have, I'll have to just pick a couple of points that are available from the reports that have been conducted around employer branding. We see that the companies with a stronger employer branding had to spend 43% less in their cost for hiring. So see, you can see the difference, 43% less they have to spend on their cost for hiring. And 67% of job seekers would accept their job even if they are offering a low salary. And also about 69% of candidates are likely to apply for a company which is having a positive employer branding image in the minds of them. Employer branding strategy is consist of 5 steps. Let me discuss all these steps. First step would be set your goals. So that could be around getting more applicants, getting your presence felt, attracting the good talent, reducing the time to hire and cost to hire. Second would be identify the candidate persona. It is about identifying the characteristics for your perfect job candidate. Third is defining your employee value proposition, which is very important point in today's time. We'll be covering this particular point in detail in the later discussion. So EVP is about what is your current employee love about your company. So you know what the current employer loves about the current employer. It's very important for an organization to define that. Fourth is define the channel and the candidate touch points, where and how we can promote our brand, which will give us the maximum benefit. Fifth is measure the result. That is very important. If we have done all the strategies that we thought we'll be doing for employer branding, and we don't measure that, we'll not be able to adjust according to the needs. Like I said, employer value proposition, there are 5 pillars around which employer value proposition stands in a company. First pillar is compensation. In compensation, salary, satisfaction come. That's why, a lot of companies spend, time and money for doing compensation benchmarking. There are raises and promotion that comes under it. Timeliness also is part of it. Fairness and how robust is the evaluation system in an organization. How well the company do the performance appraisals. That is also a part of this compensation pillar. Second is benefits. What all benefits that the organization is offering? It's about holidays. It's about the kind of insurance policies that the organization is offering to its employees. The kind of retirement policy that's in place. What kind of educational benefits that the organization give, the kind of flexibility that an organization offer to its employee, and what they do for the family. That's why companies are spending a lot in involving the family of an employee. They're doing family day out. They're inviting the family of the employees to their workplace just to make sure that they're also part of the organization, because it plays a very important role in retaining an employee. Um, Third pillar is career. So career, it's about the ability and the chance to progress and develop one's career in the organization. Second is in this is stability and the kind of trainings and educational work that is given in the company, and so on and so forth. And then we move to the fourth pillar of employee value proposition, that is the work environment, which is very important. It's a kind of work environment that an organization is providing. Are the employees getting recognized for their work? Are they getting autonomy to perform their work? Are their personal achievements taken care of? Is their work-life balances and the challenges that they deal with, is are they able to understand roles and responsibility clearly? That also comes under this particular pillar. Fifth one is culture, which is very important, and we as an HR professional are working so much around driving the culture of an organization. So it's about understanding the goals and plans of the employees, and also about the leaders and managers, and the kind of collaboratorship that is there in the company, and the social responsibility, which also plays a very important role, and also the trust, which plays an important role. Now move to the next part of employer branding, that is the kind of methods and channels that are used. So there are various methods and channels that are available, and it is the prerogative, and it's actually an organization to decide and evaluate which channel works well for them, because they need to decide on which channel gives the maximum benefit to them. So various channels that are available are, social networks. So there's LinkedIn, Facebook, various social media that is available. Career site also plays a very important role in branding of the company. That is very important, because you see that companies these days post testimony of the employees, just to make sure the person that is applying knows that kind of culture that is there in the organization, and what the employer feels about the company that they're working for. Third is current employees. Like I said in the beginning as well, employers plays very important role in branding the company. They plays very important role in branding of the organization. Um, the fourth one would be lectures and workshop. Let me
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me? Because I
Yeah,
see a
back now. Yeah,
disruption in my network.
yeah. You're back
I'm
now.
glad that
Please,
you guys
please
are
carry
able
on.
to hear me.
Nirja, please
Okay,
carry on.
thank
You're
you,
back
thank
now
you.
live.
Okay, thanks. So what I was discussing was about the methods and the channel. Fourth one is the lectures and the workshop that organization gives to its employee. Fifth comes out to be inbound recruiting. That also plays a very important role. Sixth is around job advertisement, and the next is about candidate relationship management. That is also very important. That's why, these days organizations are doing a lot of candidate experience, and they're focusing a lot on candidate experience. And the last point is application process. That is also very important, because an employee and a job seeker, if applies for a position in a company and he see delay in response, that creates a negative image of the organization in his mind. So that processing should be very well managed. There should be tools available for HR. There should be tools available for HR to actually manage the application in a faster and better manner. Now, let me move to the next topic, that is evaluation of talent acquisition in last decade. So we see that everything is changing. Why not talent acquisition team should change? You know, things are moving very fast these days. So what used to be like, if I talk about a traditional approach of a recruiter, it used to be that you used to get a JD from the hiring manager, and he used to try and source according to that. But now, if we look at today's time, where you know time is money, this approach has completely changed, and we're thinking about new approach, wherein the recruiter acts as a consultative approach. He gives a consultative approach to the hiring manager. He understands the JD, and what he does is that he make him understand what is available in the market, the kind of talent pool that is available. Because we see a lot of time, hiring manager comes up with his own requirement of the skill set, which is those kind of pool is not available in the market. So, as a consultative approach, recruiter sits with the hiring manager, shows him the trends, and there are a lot of tools available to do so. It's not difficult these days. There is talent, LinkedIn Insight that one can use to look at the kind of pool that is available, and also benchmark salary benchmarking tools available. So it's not a very difficult job to do these days. Then what he does is that he gives sample CVs to the hiring manager rather than just giving all the applicants in one go. He focuses on giving 3 sample CVs, and on the basis of the feedback that he receives from the hiring manager, he kind of adjusts his search. And these days, we're also talking a lot about pipelining. That is a proactive approach. So, what recruiters do these days is that they devote a lot of time in free time or whenever they get time in looking at the candidate pool that is available, tracing them, and making sure whenever that kind of position is in the company, they have those kind of database available so that they can quickly approach these candidates. And there are again tools to do so. You can use LinkedIn for that. And of course, there are other tools that are high-tech tools available in the market these days to do so. So this helps in building up the pipeline of the candidates, helps in reducing the time to hire whenever that position comes. And the most important point when I say on new approach is that of quality of hire, which was not figuring anywhere earlier. So now, apart from the cost to hire and time to hire, organizations are paying a lot of importance on the quality of hire. And also, there is a shift in the approach of getting the candidate source from a vendor to self-source. What is an ideal mix of this is that there should be 60% of self-sourcing that should be there in the organization, and but this is an ideal percentage that I'm talking about. Still, we are way behind that. We want to achieve this percentage, but it'll take some time. So you guys must be wondering why a company wants self-sourcing when it's convenient to get an employee through a vendor. It is very important because you act as a brand ambassador of the company. As a recruiter, you are the brand ambassador of the company. You know the culture fitment that is required. You know the kind of candidate who would fit into the bill. So you act best in reducing the time, cost, and also getting the quality higher. And also these days, companies are doing a lot of recruitment drive that's around cross country, because we are not, as an HR, we don't restrict ourselves to the geographical boundaries to get the right kind of a talent. So these kind of drives really helps in getting the candidates in the shorter period and also in reducing the time to hire. We go and in the drives, we are able to get the best fitment available, best talent available, and also, in one particular or 2 days, we can fill up the position and roll out the office. There's also an interesting approach these days that HR are going forward for is around branding and also around hiring. It's organizing hackathon. So what is a hackathon? Hackathon is something wherein companies go for a coding competition of about 2 days, wherein they invite different professionals from across the industry to come into their premise and attend this coding competition. So what happens? What benefits do the employer gain from them? That is, A, they get a lot of branding amongst the talent that is available in the market. B, if you see the candidate is, the person who has come for the coding is the kind of skill that an organization needs for a particular position. They can be hired from there, and also gives a platform for the organization to showcase the kind of work culture that they have in their company. And we have done this in the past in the organization that I used to work for, Barco. There we have organized this hackathon, and we really succeeded in getting our position closed, a lot of branding that it provided to us. So it's an interesting way, recruiter need to look at the different ways to get the positions so closed, because these days it is not easy to attract a talent, because they're high in demand. The kind of quality that every organization wants, and there are companies who are offering best of best environment, best of best compensation. So this thing is a lot of challenging in terms of recruiting the right talent. And also one point that I feel and I personally seen works really well in my career as well is that looking at the candidate, post offer. What I meant by looking at the candidates post offer is that keeping a contact with them, engaging them so that they don't join somewhere else. This is a challenging thing for organizations these days to make sure that there is no dropout. If you look at the data there, if I talk about my organization only, there was this, we were looking at about 70% of offer post offer declines. So that is very high these days because the professionals are high in demand and they get, offer over every offer. So they kind of use it as a bait also. So what I've seen is that if you engage them well, by various things, doing you could do a small thing by talking to them or making the hiring manager to interact with them, inviting them over for a lunch, or there you can do numerous things. You can think of creative ways of engaging them. What happens is that I've personally seen that your offer decline rate rejects, it drops. And also if somebody is not joining the company, you would know well in advance, because the person feels liable towards the organization that is keeping him engaged. He gives a proper intimation, not just the last hour intimation where the onboarding team is waiting for a person to join and they suddenly finds out that the person is not coming. So these kind of last minute shockers can be avoided if we go for a better candidate engagement, post offer candidate engagement. Now I'm going to cover talent management dashboard for TA.
Nirja, we have very short time left.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So if I start this topic, it's going to take time. So I think
Would you like
Ashutosh?
to just keep it short and convey?
No, it's a very important topic, and I really want to talk about it in.
So at max, we can then have about, let's say, maximum of 5 to 7 minutes on that.
Okay, so I can do one thing. I can talk about this after the break that you're going to announce.
Uh,
In the meantime, if there are
you
questions
you
from the
carry on
audience,
you carry on with it. Maybe let's say 7 to 10 minutes maximum.
okay, fair enough. So while I was talking about different dashboards that a TA person can use, so when we talk about spend, that is a very important thing in talent acquisition. Costing part is very important. We need to know how much we've spent on every position that we hire for. So there are dashboards that can look at the kind of spend that we have done every channel wise, how much we have spent on a particular channel. That could be a social media spending that we have done around it, or could be a job board, or could be any channel that we use for hiring. And then there is this important a very important dashboard that is maintained by every HR professional, that is cost per hire trend. It is very common. And also the kind of cost and application spent that has happened. For every applicant, how much we have spent per channel. So what these kind of dashboard gives us? They gives us the information how much we are spending for hiring, where our applicants are coming from, and how much the costing has make our hiring better. So whenever this kind of analysis are available with the recruiter, with the management, this really helps in deciding the effectiveness of a sourcing mix. Or they can come to a decision whether they want to change the kind of sourcing mix that they're using, or they would like to stick to the the way that they're working, if it's working fine. Then there are dashboards around timeline. So if I'd say timeline, they're about hiring pipelines, that dashboards around that. Offer acceptance rate. You need to see for every position what has been the offer acceptance rate, because this would help you in your pipelining also. You see that you see that there is a trend that is coming up, that this particular skill you will see offer decline rate, you will have a backup candidate available for that particular position. So these kind of trends really help you in your future hirings. And of course time to fill. So these three dashboards will give you insights into the people hiring trajectory that is there, the time that has taken up to fill a position, and as I said, your offer acceptance rate would of course help you in planning better. Nowadays, what I'm seeing is that as a talent acquisition, you guys have to focus a lot on diversity and inclusion. So there has to be a dashboard around that as well. You need to see um, diversity by job levels. So what is the diversity that is there in the organization per job level? Gender ratio, male to female, that is there in the organization, and also around the education and qualification. So what they help you is to align you with the policies of the company, and also while hiring, there is a specific percentage kept for diversity and inclusion that can also be met. Companies are doing things around LGBT, especially abled people. If we have the data, dashboards available, readily available, the company can plan its hiring strategy accordingly. And very important and very common dashboard, that is attrition. Every organization look at the attrition rate. They look at the voluntary attrition that is there in the organization, attrition by job level, turnover in a year. So these kind of things help in planning your man force in a better way. So the insight from these kind of dashboards would be around looking at the voluntary attrition that is available, involuntary attrition that is there in the company, and also helps in benchmarking against the industry. So if there was one organization I would not like to name. So I used to work for them, and I see that there the attrition level was lower than what is the industry trend was. So we actually had to do things around making a healthy attrition level. So these kind of reports really help. This kind of data really helps HR professional to benchmarking themselves against the industry standards. See, the analysis shows whether we are worst in performance or we are better in the performance. So, and also helps us in attrition also helps in planning the pipeline. And the most important thing and the most important focus area that is coming up these days are dashboards around quality of hire. So it's not just filling up the position; it's about filling the quality hires. So their data, their dashboards around quality of hire, organization look at the quality of the hire and what were the acceptance of the acceptabilities of these hire. Were they poor? Were they bad? Were they perform good when they came into the organization? What is the new hire turnover? So these kind of dashboards really help in looking at the indicators around the time to productivity, new hire performance, new hire potential, organization fit, sales per hire, error rate, if any, and employee job satisfaction, hiring manager satisfaction survey are also very important these days. These dashboards are not very complicated. So when I say quality of hire, the terminology looks very big, but there's a simple formula to calculate that, which I'm sure is easily available with the kind of dashboards tools that these days available in the market. So these are the points that I wanted to cover, and I'm sure you guys have picked up a lot of things from what I discussed. So the 4 points that I covered are done from my end. Ashutosh, would you like to take up the question from the audience, or you would like to go for a small break and then we go for a Q&A?
Sure.
How it's going to be like?
Thank you so much, Nirja, for a wonderful session so far. Yes, the points you really highlighted are of quite essence, and they're need of the hour at the moment. Okay, now what we will do is we'll take a small breather and get back for a question and answer round, and then we'll have it live with the audience. So,
Okay.
ladies and gentlemen, you all can follow us on social media platforms like you already know: LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. It's time for us to keep our questions ready for Nirja. She has already spelled out many things. She's already talked about her experience of handling HR roles and handling issues while she was handling HR roles. So please put a thumbs up here in the reaction button, and then we can pick up from there.
Ashutosh ji, there are two questions in chat box. You may continue. You may
Yeah, I
ask.
was just looking at that only. Mr. Amit Francis wanted to ask a question. So, Mr. Amit Francis, sir, if you are there, you can yourself unmute yourself and ask the question. Would you like to unmute and ask a question, please? All right. So probably he's not able to connect with his audio. So Nirja, the question for you from the audience is: there's Mr. Amit Francis, who used to be VP profile person with the JK organization last assignment. There's a problem with his network. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of inducting fresh graduates, trainees, and developing them? What we call grow your own timber. So are there some
Okay.
advantages and disadvantages of this strategy?
If I look at, I discussed about the composition also in terms of multi-generational composition that are there in the organization, available in the organization. So, we need to have a balance in the workforce because there is no defined set of percentage that is there in the company. That we need to have this many percentage of fresh blood or this many percentage of older generation. So what happens if we bring in the new talent? Of course, the advantage with them is that they bring in a lot of new ideas and their way of working is really different and they look at things in a different way, bring a lot of fresh things, fresh ideas. They're high on creativity and this also gives an option of mentorship for the that is for the employees who are already there in the organization. So that happens if we recruit newer generation. Ideas are there. And of course, when I talk about the disadvantages would be, something that the organization these days are dealing is retaining them and how to come up with a policy which kind of fits, across the multi-generation that are there working in the company. So that is something there, and retaining them, as I said, is also very important because these young blood they want to switch company just whenever they get an offer, like a picked up the points, the reason why they switch. So for them, money comes at the top of switching. So that is something there that an organization and HR professional or the management has to work a lot on, invest a lot on. And of course, the amount that is spent in, in making them adjust to the environment because they don't want to follow any policy, they don't want to follow any rule. So that because they bring a lot of innovative, so they don't want to stick to a standard way of working or the processes that are laid down already in the company.
Wonderful. So you're actually referring to the baby boomers kind of audience and what are the kind of needs they have, and accordingly we need to deal with them. Commander Vijay, so there is a question from Ms. Commander Vijay. So over to him. And thank you, Amit sir, for asking such a wonderful question. Okay. Over to
Yeah,
Commander Vijay. Please go ahead.
HR has got a big role in developing the employee culture in organization. Now, with half the people or maybe more number of people working from home, what will be the challenges that HR will have to ensuring a good culture in the company?
Okay. The challenge that is, of course, engagement. That is very crucial thing and need of the hour, and HR professionals are working day in, day out around it. So when I say engagement, and then there is also around retaining the workforce and also focusing a lot on learning and development. So they have to spend a lot on making sure the right kind of learning and development plans are already in place. And also it's about accountability that I feel are the three major channels. So there's the answer to your question would be engagement, accountability, L&D.
Sure. But Nirja, there's an added question, the extended question to what Commander Vijay has said is from my side. Many times
Okay.
when we are working in an organization, right, and ultimately as a HR head also, I'm reporting to a CEO or MD of a company, and he has a vision of his own, which is different, right? And many times these HR activities, which you rightly just said, the L&D, for example, are considered as an expense than an investment. And so many times when an HR professional, and I'm sure you have lived through those days, you have taken up so much pain in creating a proposal and taking it up to the management, and you know it is going to deliver a value, but the boss says, I know what future can give me, but I'm not worried about it. Tell me what we can do today and without spending this money. And in then such a scenario, what do you think an HR specialist should do? Should he just listen to boss and keep quiet, or should he still put his way through?
So, this is a very valid and very interesting question that you have put across to me. Thanks for the question. So, you're absolutely right. The business is just centric towards business. They really don't think about the human factor, human, keeping HR professional or the workforce that is available in their mind. So what an HR specialist can do is that that in an organization, what works is your PR and how you can build your credibility. So I think first an HR professional need is that he need to build his credibility, because I can't just walk into a leader's role of say suppose a CEO's room and say, hey boss, I have this idea in my mind and I would like to, you have to spend this many millions and then this idea will work. So he will not buy it, because he would say, why would I spend so much? So you need to support it with the data. If I go to him selling a proposition and I have the data to back it up, then he would see my case as an important thing, because for somebody who's sitting at a senior position will always look at the data that is there. He needs to understand that. That's why I spoke about matrices, why I said the matrix are very important, because they only give you the kind of trends that are they available in the market and what kind of trends that are present in the organization. So I think it's about building your credibility, supporting your case with the data that I feel would, uh, give you the kind of support that you're looking forward for any kind of program that you want to run. So I know it's very hard for HR professional. I have faced it personally to sell so many good plans to the higher management because of various reasons. So that's how we used to do. So there was a credibility that I built in first, and then I supported my case with the data.
Wonderful. Thank you for those tips. All right. So anyone else, please, who wants to go in forward and ask a question? Go ahead, ask your question, please.
I think we don't have any question.
Please. All right.
I'm not able to hear.
I
Is there a
think
question
I think
asked?
you've already clarified the all the points so well that there hardly any questions are left, and then we just had 2, 3 of them anyway. All
All
right,
right.
sure. And so let me thank you, Nirja. Let me thank you on behalf of the entire group, entire team, and the audience. It has been really a knowledgeable session that you really touched upon practical problems of HR people in day-to-day life. You gave them tips that how can you deal with them. So thank you so very much. We are looking forward to a longer session from here on. And thank you so very much for the audience to come in, joining and supporting us on every time. The coming Saturday, the session is going to be a unique in its way. The way we have changed the format for the Tuesday session for today, and going forward, we're experimenting with few more formats. Like that, on Saturday, we are going to have a launch of a book along with the person who has written that book and many industry leaders supporting him in that session as well. Look forward to catching up with you all on Saturday. on our Knowledge Fiesta session, where we will have a great author and a leader from the industry talking about why investments are required and how to fund a small startup or a company, or how to manage your finances. It's going to be a great topic, useful to all of us. Do join us for the session on 2:30 Saturday. Look forward to catching up with you that time. Till that time, stay happy, stay safe, stay healthy at home. Thank you and take care. Bye bye.